Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this presentation on Bridging Mountains and Shores, Rediscovering Mediterranean Transhumance and its Historical Environmental Heritage, a case study of historical environmental heritage in Eastern Riviera, Italy, by Raffaella BRUZZONE, Roberta Cevasco, Nicola Cavalieri, Mariangela Guido, Carlo Montanari, Valentina Pescini, and Anna Maria Stagno. This research was carried out by the Laboratorio di Archeologia e Storia Ambientale at the University of Genoa and the Università di Scienze Gastronomiche di Pollenzo. Transhuman practices documented between the 16th and the late 19th century describe movements between coastal beach areas during winter months and mountain pastures as summer quarters, Alpi. This coastal winter pastures is named, in the local chorographic literature of the early 16th century, Montagna di Fascia. Access to winter grazing resources was organized within a common land use system between parish inhabitants, called comunaglie. In the wintering areas, the cultivation of coastal areas was guaranteed by fertilization of open transhumance flocks. The pastoral resource in this area mainly consisted of ancient grasslands lying on common lands set on the slopes and along the rivers, for example, the Bisagno and the Ferraggiano. Pastoral resources were also located within the terraced crops, wine and olive groves, and allowed in specific period of the years. Giuseppe Lertora was a chemist and a botanist. In the years about 1830, he collected and put together this herbal manuscript with hundreds of botanical watercolors of wild plants he found scattered in the hills around Genoa. In this flora, we detected some food plants which were part of the prebujun plants, a wild herb salad still in use in the eastern part of the Riviera. Here you can see four of these plants, Ioseris radiata, Campanula rapunculus, Cicorio mintipus, and Hippocaris radicata. These plants are not properly wild herbs. Actually, their past and present different distribution and abundance is an example of biodiversification of these ancient grasslands. In effect, they were activated by pastoral regime and collecting practices that we will see later on in this presentation. Heteroptic species due to transhumance grazing. In the first decades of the 19th century, winter pasture grassland in this part of the Riviera constituted a habitat that descended to the shore's levels. In 1830, the Lertora herbal located Lilium bulbiferum, this kind of lily, in sites at about 100 meters above sea level. Modern botanists describe the distribution of these plants as being restricted to mountain area from 1600 to 2000 meters above sea level, see Pignatti 1982. Similarly, Lertora found Phyteuma orbiculare, these plants, in sites at about 150 meters above sea level. In the first decades of the 19th century, winter pasture meadows in this part of the Riviera were comprised of grassland habitats that descend through corridors to sea level, as shown in the 1815 map. The location of Prati di Quinto lay at few meters above sea level. They were in common use by the local community, as evidenced in texts from between the 13th century and 1856. However, what happened to the composition of these ancient grasslands between 1830 and 2021. The flora composition of these ancient grasslands at the end of 20th century was characterized by a species richness with a maximum value of 60. In the 2011 Ligurian land use map, the grassland in the same slope has been reduced to small fragments as shown by the arrows in the map. It is to be noted that the majority of the slopes are covered by woodlands and shrublands as shown by green colors. We have reconstructed these dynamics according to the following resources: topographical maps 1815 and between 1815 and 1830 and 1930, Coral Land Cover 2011. These dynamics, due to the abandonment of management of ancient grassland, are extended in all the Montagna di Fascia area. Today, the flora composition of these ancient grasslands is dominated by few species and mostly by Brachypodium pinnatum. This species is favored by abandonment and wildfire. The overall effect is the loss of biodiversity of these grasslands, including good fodder species for animals, including human edible species. The aged populations of Brachypodium cause, in the event of abundant precipitation, an increase in the speed of runoff waters, an effect similar to the running waters on thatched roofs. The final effects are frequent floods that occur frequently in this area and in the whole Ligurian region. Environmental legacies of transhumance in the winter pasture ecology. Loss of habitat, a disappearance of the winter pastures grasslands at the sea level, disappearance of the herb cover in the winter wood pastures, Castania and Quercus species, that reach the sea, disappearance of the Mediterranean polyculture herb cover. Then loss of biodiversity in the remnant ancient grasslands and historical wood pastures due to the development of Brachypodium pinnatum, or shrubs and new woodlands. Loss of historical rural landscape and its archaeological features. The environmental legacies is found in the new parcels still maintained by the production and activation practices. The dynamics at work in these maintained parcels should be taken into account by innovative environmental planning policies inspired by the results of historical ecology analysis. These proposals, inspired by historical ecology researchers on transhumance, have been illustrated in a recent exhibition and relative catalogue held in the State Archive of Genoa between September 2020 and March 2021. Thank you for your attention, and we're looking forward for the conference and the discussion.